All right, Pisces, welcome to your October monthly reading. Can't wait to get into it and see what these cards have to do. Pisces, has been a long time coming. Today I am going to be using 3 decks. I'm going to be pulling 6 cards, but a total of 7 really. 6 stands for building a relationship with the higher self. We are in a time that calls for us to get into the relationships with ourselves, because getting into the relationships with ourselves and getting to know ourselves in entirety is getting into our relationship with God and understanding who He is and what our role here is on earth. So yeah, the 6 is all about getting a relationship with the higher self, getting a relationship with the part of you that that is connected to God, which would be your inner child, the 3-year-old. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, if you do not know what the inner child is, I have 2 prior videos that I've recorded on YouTube. 2 prior videos that I've recorded on YouTube that kind of go through what the inner child is, how to get access to our inner child, and then for parents, how this helps us as parents. It's a broad topic, so I was only able to do 2 videos, but I'm sure as time goes on, I'll do more. I do recommend that you check that out. I don't have an inner child healing program that I would recommend because I don't have one myself. You can always hop on the internet, Instagram, the spiritual communities on Twitter, and find someone. It's all about who you resonate with. The first deck that I picked from is the Light Seers Tarot. I use tarot cards and oracle cards. Oracle cards seem to usually be a little bit lighter in the energy. With tarot, you really have to use discernment. Okay. And then the 7th card I pull is just a wise words from Yeshua, aka Jesus, that I use. It's some Bible verses, some scripture. You need to know some scripture at some point in your life because that is our weapon against the enemy. But it's just light stuff that one could understand. Oh, okay. All right, perfect. My water signs. I love water signs. I'm a water sign. I'm water through and through, actually. A water, moon, sun, and rising. Okay. And then, okay. So I got these cards here. I'll go through these and then I'll get that 7th one for. 7 is just God's favorite number. So I always like to sweeten the pot with a 7. And it ends on such a nice note. I feel like if we're going to talk about God, then we're definitely going to talk about Yeshua. Yeshua is Jesus. You can look on Google and get that information. But my grandma, she's a Bible scholar. Like, she went to one of those Bible schools and she studied it. And she learned how to speak Hebrew and write Hebrew. And it was confirmed that his name is Yeshua. The letter J and its pronunciation didn't even exist at the time. So that's why Yeshua, closer to Jesus. Or not Jesus. Yeshua is closer to Joshua, really, than it is to Jesus. But to each their own. All right, so the first card I have here is the Queen of Wands. It's a girl. She's got fire coming out of her hand. I do notice the triangles there. Triangles have to do with a little bit of emotion. Okay, I see a staff. I'm getting a tribe, a tribal. Okay, a cat. Okay, a cat. Purple nail polish, God's favorite color, and all these candles. Okay, so wands, let me break this down. A wands, that has to do with our fire sign, okay? So this is Leo, Aries, Sagittarius. Those are our fire signs. These are hard workers. And fire has to do with action. It's all about doing. Okay, you've been working hard, Pisces. You've been grinding. You've been letting your passions lead you. Which, honestly, I do have to give you some credit, Pisces, because Pisces, you are most likely to take the things that you dream and pull them over here into this reality. Because Pisces, their ruling planet is Pluto, and Pluto is all about like fantasy, and so Pisces just kind of border on that line of fantasy and reality. And like I said, you very easily know, because you blur on that, because you're very head in the clouds and always kind of in a state of dreaming, which is just another brivation, another brainwave. But because you spend a lot of time there, you're very easily to fold whatever it is that you're thinking about or dreaming about into your reality. So I see someone who is pleased with themselves, who has been working out of passions. Pisces, you've been controlling your emotions. Now, the reason that I say that with such an excited amount of volume is because Pisces, sometimes you say things you don't mean, and you say things off of the high of emotion and out of the high of emotion. And I'm sure that at a time or two, this has probably cost you. Because when you get in your feelings, your words are sharp like a dagger, so you really don't give a fuck what you say. And part of learning to accept yourself is doing things that you can feel good about. You can't feel good going around saying things to people that you don't mean just because they hurt. So I feel like you've been controlling your emotions a lot easily, not even in relationships, but in career, in work. You've been a lot more patient, going with the flow of things. That's already you. Pets. Someone has gotten a new pet or will be getting a new pet. I sense kind of like emotional support. I feel like some of you have been getting some animals. Some people may have been getting cats. There have been some very weird stories. I follow a lot of spiritual groups on Facebook. There have been some really weird stories about people going out to their car, or, cats, coming to their doorstep, coming to them. Cats, I feel, is a very spiritual animal. The Egyptians, they actually looked up to cats and they actually praised cats. I don't know what the deal. I'm not familiar with Egyptian gods or anything. I don't. That's not anything that I look into, but I just know that they had a high respect and a high regard for cats. So I'm going to say, Pisces, you've probably been exploring spirituality a little bit much. I don't know that you've considered yourself to be a very spiritual person before, but I feel like spirituality is something that you're starting to look into. I also feel like maybe genealogy, like getting to know where you come from as far as genes are concerned. I feel like I need to want to know where you come from, where your roots are from. I feel like you've been doing a lot. I feel like whereas Pisces are normally just like chill and kind of go with the flow. I feel like there's been a fire under your ass and you've just been moving, you've been grooving, you've been getting shit done. And you're proud of that, and you should be. Part of being able to have a relationship with God is realizing that you have to be able to put in action. A lot of people like to think that because God is the higher of the two, or because he is the father of the two, that he should just do the bulk of the work and we should just do nothing. That we should just allow him to give and then we just take and not put forward effort. Even when I was younger, I don't think that I fully understood. Like as a child, God was something that was introduced to me fairly early, but I don't think that I understood that it was a duet. I was never made to understand that we were a team. For some reason, I always looked at it like he just did everything and we just were supposed to ask and we shall receive. And that's really not how it goes. There has to be a part where asking is only one part of it, but there has to be a part to where you put your foot down and you start to move in motion. You start to understand that the relationship that you have with God is a teamwork. It's not anything that just depends on only him. You have to move and you have to do things. So I feel like, Pisces, you have been doing a lot. You've been putting some action. You may be seeing some of the blessings start to turn up because of the action that you've been putting out. The way that God works and the way that the universe works is when you work towards something diligently, and not even working toward it, but when you feel as if you are worthy for what it is that you're working towards, you find that it comes to you a lot easier. You find that God is able to bless you with it a lot easier. Like I said, you have a very special gift, Pisces, when it comes to taking things that you dream of, things that you would like to experience, and getting them to materialize in the physical world just because of the way that you think. Continue to keep up the good work. Continue to understand that you have to do your part. But I think that you're doing fine with that. I think that you're surprisingly, pleased with yourself. Because I don't think that you've ever felt this amount of passion before. I don't think that you've ever let it, Pisces, I mean, all water signs, we're feelers. I'm a water sign too, so I understand we're feelers, but I wouldn't say that we are the most motivated. It's the fire signs who are the most motivated. So, but you've been able to benefit from some of this energy probably since about August. August is the 8th month of the year. 8 stands for karma. You give what you receive, as above, so below. And it also stands for success. It also stands for you get out of shit what you put into shit. August is when God really started turning up. That's when everyone who has ever done a good thing started getting blessed. That's probably when people started to see the fruition of their blessings. I know that, I've been getting blessed as this year has started, to be honest with you. But in August, I did see an influx of blessings. And I know that I'm a good person at heart, so I see that I was getting that back. On the flip side of that, there may be some of you Pisces who have done some things, said some things that you had no business doing or saying, and life probably started to whoop that ass in August. That's what God does. He's a very, very, very accountable God. And I think one thing that you can appreciate from that first card, from this card, is that, I thought I heard my son, is that in continuing to move forward, you can also appreciate God. You can also see that He's giving you an experience by allowing you to do things yourself. And that's really what this life is about. That's what it boils down to, experiences. We have the Page of Cups right here. So with the Cups, I see a few things. Cups is our water signs. So that's you, Pisces. That's me, Cancer. And that's Scorpio, okay? On this card, I see a guy, and he's just got like all these different swirls and things going on the side. Here's a cup with some water in it. Somebody's up there. A pig that flies. And then right here, there's like two hands meeting together, and they're forming some type of eternity or some type of love connection, chemistry. Ooh, I didn't even see this before. He has a third eye in the pyramid tattooed on his throat. I've never seen that in all the times that I've seen this card. That's crazy. Okay, so let's go ahead and break it down. Some of y'all might be dealing with a lover boy or a lover girl. You might be dealing with somebody who has your thinking all fucked up. You can't even think. You might be with someone whose heads are in the clouds, someone who isn't very grounded. But I feel like if you are, you're not mad at that situation. I feel like you're feeling very empowered, Pisces. I want to say, because for me personally, I consider Pisces to be one of the more sensitive signs in the water sign group. Now, don't get me wrong, we're all sensitive in our own ways, but I feel like things really hurt Pisces to the core, because I feel like Pisces just wants to be liked, and I feel like Pisces just wants to be accepted, and I feel like you may have met someone who makes you feel that. Someone who makes you feel liked, someone who makes you feel accepted, someone who makes you feel like it's okay to be yourself, someone who makes you think that things that aren't possible are possible. There's also a rainbow on the card here. Now, a rainbow has to do with God's promise. After the whole Noah's Ark thing happened and we were all flooded, God made a promise that He would never flood us again. And His promise was stamped by the rainbow. So I feel like some of you, now the thing about what's symbolic and what's important about God's promises and what the rainbow teaches us is God never breaks His promises, ever. So if some of you have been praying for a different kind of love, wanting for a different type of love, or feel that the relationship that you're in is promised to you, then that may exactly be what's going on. Some of your wildest dreams are starting to come true, and I think that you still can't even believe it. And this, I'm not even talking about in relationships, Pisces. I'm talking about in general, in your career, in your life. You may live in a dream house. You may have a dream car. Things are starting to manifest in your wildest dreams, and you are just pleased. And everything that your heart desires, because I see he's got these things coming out from his heart. Everything that your heart desires is starting to manifest, and you are feeling grateful, you are feeling loved, you are feeling protected. It's kind of, and this pig to me, it's like, okay, when someone wants something, say there's been something you wanted, and someone uses the expression, oh, when pigs fly, which we know pigs don't fly. So it's like, oh, that'll never happen. You're getting to enjoy it because all the things that other people told you would never happen, or all the things that you never thought that you'd be privy to, they're starting to come into fruition. The thing is, God wants us to have our heart's desires, Pisces. God wants us to enjoy the fruits of our labor and the fruits of his labor. He wants us to enjoy those things. Cups also has to do with emotions. I feel like you are getting not just a 5 sensory experience, love, but I feel like you are getting a full-on multi-sensory experience in this life. Now, Pisces, you're a water sign, so you can already feel everything anyway. Like, you can feel anything, emotions, feelings. Sorry, I'm trying to get the skin right. Emotions, feelings. You're already a feeler. I know I can feel the hell out of some things, so I know that you are a feeler. But I feel like the level on the sensitivity has cranked up. I feel like things have turned the hell up. I feel like you are really out here feeling. I feel like you are noticing how easy it is to manifest things, how easy it is for you to have your heart's desires, how easy it is. But I feel like I need to remind you of one thing, Pisces, one small thing. Don't forget to give thanks. So much happens in this world where there's so much going on, and I know it's got to be hard being multisensory and then have so many external factors, and then all those senses. I get it. Trust me, I get it. But don't forget about the one who created you. Do not forget about God. The whole point of this beautiful experience that we have here on earth, and it's not always beautiful, maybe in hindsight it is, but the whole point of this beautiful experience that we have here is on earth is, as we are created and we come here and we grow and we learn and we shift and we change and our consciousness expands, we're going through experiences. God is giving us the gift of experiences. As we're experiencing these things, God is very much attached to us also getting to experience these things. He is a part of us, so he feels what we feel. He understands us. The same way, Pisces, that you can feel everything around you, okay? Imagine you're you, and you can feel every single thing outside of you. And so you find that every single thing affects you. That's only a micro expression of how God's life is. He is this big, powerful, loving Father who is connected to all of his children. And when we feel, he feels. When we hurt, he hurts. When we are not happy, he is not happy. He feels all of our pains, and he feels all of our struggles. So, even just being able to do that, even though I don't know, I mean, for him, I can only imagine that's hard, but give thanks to the one that created you. Give thanks to the one that gave you these hands to create, gave you these eyes, ears, mouth to create. Always give thanks. Also, I do want to comment that the third eye on the chakra, I feel like some of you are starting to see things in the mind's eye. Now, God gives all of us gifts before we're even born. And some people have the gift of sight, which is kind of like the gift of intuition, which ties into the gift of feeling. That it's all like one big gift because all of those work together. If you are starting to get visions and if you are starting to see things, know that you are not alone, because God allows people to sometimes know information. It just depends on who you are and what your role is and what he put you here for. He'll allow you to know information that's really only privy to you, because sometimes other people won't know what to do with that information. And that information that he gives you might have something to do or might be a clue with where he wants you to position yourself in life so that you can position yourself. A few things that I'm going to tell you about the gift of sight if you are new to the gift of sight. Be very diligent about what you say, because you have to understand some of the stuff that he shows you isn't for other people. That's why he shows you. Not to mention, a lot of people aren't going to be, sometimes people aren't going to be able to handle the things that you say because there's no proof. And when you live in a world like the world that we live in, and you understand better than anyone, I think, Pisces, that is multisensory, there's not going to be proof for everything. And if you're not a feeler, someone who is not a water sign or sensitive to the things that go on around you, you're not going to understand that people receive information that they don't have to prove shit to you about. So be diligent about what you say, because I've been asked to be diligent about what I speak, because everything isn't for everyone. It's just some of the stuff you'll know when the time is right to speak on it, and some of the stuff you just kind of have to like keep to yourself. But just know that you're not crazy. It's not about proving anything to everybody. Sometimes you're just not going to have proof for people, and that's not like, if they want to know about it, they can talk to God themselves. That's really the way that I look at things when it comes to that. So some of the things, speak up. Lots of people are starting to speak. God is wanting lots of people to speak, but be diligent about what you say. And before you speak, think, is this information that I'm about to relay, is it in the best for everyone? Or is this something that I myself need to think about, need to meditate on, need to pray about? I feel like being a feeler and just kind of having the knowing of everything that's going around you, I feel like you'll know when to speak, and I feel like you'll know when to not speak. You just kind of have to trust God, because a lot of the things and a lot of the moves that he's making don't make sense to the people we once were. Don't make sense to the minds that we once had. But things are shifting, and people are starting to change. People are starting to upgrade. People are starting to develop, because it's almost time. And God needs his people to be ready. And the only way that you can be ready is if you skip over all the illusion, skip over all the nonsense, skip over all the distraction, and get to what it is that you need to do. We all have a purpose, but it's about being tuned into our Father so that he can tell us what our purpose is. We all have an assignment. Nobody here is just here to be here. And I hate to reiterate, and I don't think I have to reiterate to you, but then again, you're probably not the most, I don't know. Like I said, even though you have that link, Pisces, I don't always think that you are the most spiritual, but yet at the same time, you have one of the strongest links to God. It's not the universe blessing you. First off, it's God. So let's just try to kind of hone in and focus on giving thanks where thanks should be given. Three of Swords. So this is a girl who, she is in agony. She is crying out in agonizing pain. Her heart is being sewn back together. She is wrapped up in it. Okay. Me, agonizing pain, Pisces. The only thing I'm going to say is some of y'all ain't having good relationship luck. Some of you guys are finding out some things about some people that you were involved with that you would never think that you would find out. Maybe they did some unthinkable things, said some unthinkable things, or maybe you're just tired of pretending. Like, if they're in a situation, like if you guys have already been having troubles and they've already been doing things, and you've been kind of telling yourself like, okay, maybe if I just pretend it's not, real, it'll go away. One of those situations. Or maybe because you're a Pisces and Pisces like to get even a little bit, you're out doing dirt to combat maybe some dirt that you found out about your partner, and it's still not working, and it's eating you up trying to go about it that way. That is one situation. Swords have to do with air. So air is our Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. And I don't think that you feel like you have anybody that you can speak with. I feel like you don't think that there's anyone that you can talk to. I don't feel that you think that there's anyone who's going to understand. And I feel like you have been carrying the weight of a lot of pain on your heart by yourself. Okay? First of all, let's just breathe through this, Pisces. Let's just breathe through this, okay? You do not have to take the You don't have to take on the weight of pain by yourself. Even if you feel like you have no one to talk to that is in your immediate circle or that is in your family, you can always talk to God. It's the times that we hurt the most. It's usually in suffering sometimes that people find God. If you have not tried him, I recommend him. Usually, I feel like sometimes that's the last thing people will try. People will try crystals, they'll try cards, they'll try religions, they'll try, and I mean not one, like bounce around to different ones trying to, find something. The relationship with God, first of all, and I always like to debunk this relationship with God. You do not have to pick a religion to have a relationship with God. A relationship with God is your birthright. It's something that you were born with. It's something that no one can take away from you. Now, people may have tried to influence this maybe growing up. Maybe someone has cut off your divinity by telling you God is not real. Or maybe someone cut off your divinity by scaring the shit out of you and making you think that God was this angry person who just wants to be, admired. And no, it's not anything like that. I feel like your heart is heavy about a lot of things, Pisces, and I don't think that you've worked through your issues. I don't think that you have unloaded the heart. I feel like you've been so busy trying to convince people you're happy on the outside, so busy smiling on the outside, that you're neglecting your insides. What is a hot body with an ugly soul? And I'm not saying ugly like, you're ugly on the inside. Some of y'all are, I'm not going to lie. Some of y'all are ugly on the inside. But that's just because of unresolved trauma, unresolved drama. Old relationships leaving a bad taste in your mouth. Current relationships, dealing with people's shit. It's time to come from underneath that. It's time to let that go. It's time to create that relationship with God. He is the only thing really that is going to get down in there and help you see the light. And honestly, this is where inner child healing comes in too, because the children are the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. In order to get to that next level, you have to be light in heart. You have to be forgiving. Adults, we tend not to be the most forgiving, but you know who forgives? Children. You could, I mean, this is horrible. Someone could slap the shit out of a child and they would forgive them. Like, imagine that type of forgiveness. But I don't know if you feel you're capable of that type of forgiveness, Pisces. Because I feel like with water signs, we get so caught up in our emotions that if you betray those emotions, we don't let you near us again for fear that you'll betray those emotions again. But it is a time of unloading. Yeshua's coming back. And we have to be in tip-top shape as far as our spirituality, as far as our connection with God, as far as our connection with him. And it's not about being perfect, because nobody's perfect, but this is about having willingness. This is about allowing your willingness to help create discipline in your life, to position yourself where you need to get. Many will be called, few will be chosen, but he's only choosing the people that are choosing him back. He's going to make the call. He's already made the call. And some people are choosing to ignore the call. Some people are choosing to go on with sin and with, being of this world. Not just living here, but being of it. Being a creature of the night. All those things are symbolic. And I feel like, Pisces, you can get caught up in that because you're influent. You're like a fish, a school of a fish. You can be influenced, but you can influence. And so, the only person that needs to influence you is God. Let God be your influence. Be a school of fish for God. Be a school of fish for Yeshua. Let that take you over. Because I feel like you need some heart healing, but I feel like the only one that's going to help you heal that heart is God. When's the last time you've been down on your knees for God? When's the last time you sought out your connection with him? Don't tell me. You can tell yourself. When is the last time? Because I'm feeling like you're taking a gift for granted, Pisces. Like to have the connection, the link that you have. If you haven't studied it, if you don't know your birth chart, get one. alabe.com, alabe.com. No, this is not no pay. This is just what I use. It's the best birth chart on the market. And they also have an app too. Get to know your birth chart. Get to understand who you are. Because I feel like you don't have the knowledge of yourself that you should, Pisces. And if you don't have the knowledge of yourself that you should, how will you understand the beautiful potential that God blessed you with? A lot of people like to walk around like, what is my purpose? How do I figure out my purpose? In order to figure out your purpose, you have to do some research. You got to search it out. You got to search out that relationship with God, because he's the only one who's going to let you know what that purpose is. He's the only one that's going to help you realize why he brought you here. 3 has to do with action, that fire. Do what you need to do to get out of this place. You know, you have choices. What's crazy about this world is it shows us that we have choices, but that we only have choices in certain areas. One area that it doesn't teach us is that we have more power over ourselves than we think. I don't know if this is just me, but growing up, I realized that I always thought that my brain told me what to do. I always thought that I just listened to my brain. I thought that I was obedient to my brain. Then once my mind started to push away from everything, question things, and this was 2012, my first embarkment on a spiritual journey, 2012, after a crazy breakup. I started to question everything, and I realized that questioning myself and asking myself questions is how I'm going to grow. It is how I'm going to learn. And in that growing and in that learning is when I realized that, like, God was chiming in. Like, I used to be one of those people. I knew God was real, but I used to be one of those people who had it fucked up. I used to be one of those people that thanked the universe. Thank you, universe. Thank you. And, you know, all about my moons and my planets and my crystals and my rocks. And then I forgot. Then I realized something. And then it took me from 2012 up until 2017, then up from 2017 till today to realize I had it all fucked up. It's not the universe. It's not the crystals. It's not the rocks. It's God. That is who we give credit to, because that is who molded us. That is who made us. He can heal your heart. He can take your heart and he can make it new, completely new. And only he can do that. So some ways that I suggest that you start to heal your heart: inner child healing. Now, that is painful. It is painful because when we're children and we grow up, we compartmentalize. When we don't want to think about something, we store it in certain parts of our mind. And we don't know that we're doing this, but we're storing stuff in certain parts of our mind. And we actually forget things. Like for my childhood, I only remembered a handful of things till I started my inner child healing. And then a whole bunch of shit just started to floodgate back to me. And I started to remember who I was. I started to remember where I came from. I started to remember who I was when I was 3. I had memories start to pop up that I had suppressed. I mean, when we grow up, we do a thing and we just kind of leave our 3-year-old self behind and move on. And we're just like, sayonara, peace, you're on your own, like figure it out. And then boom. And we don't realize that that child is still very much a part of us. It's my baby. It's my son. We don't realize that is still very much a part of us. Say hi.
Hi.
What are you doing, baby? You playing a game?
No.
Okay. I'm going to go hang out over there. Just be quiet. Okay? Okay. So it also has to do with action. Just make sure that you're holding yourself accountable. Realize that we are the cause of our own suffering. And can you shut my door, baby? Realize that we are the cause of our own suffering, and the fact that we have choices. God gives us choices. That's what free will is. Free will is the same thing as a choice. But you have to be in tune to realize whether you're making the right choice or not. And ask for discernment, because God does give discernment. Pray for peace. 3, and that's also symbolic of the inner child. That's the age that I like to place the inner child at. Baby, sit. You're going to have to sit. That's what I like to place the age of the inner child at.